The St. Louis Blues and the Seattle Kraken take a game tonight. We're going to talk about it here on Locked On Blues.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, with a special guest today. Dylan is back on the show, and we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the St. Louis Blues, final couple of games of the season, and hopefully the Blues very shortly will be able to secure their playoff spot. But we have a lot to get into on today's episode of Locked On Blues. But before I dive in, I just want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Dylan, it is so great to have you back here on Locked On Blues. I feel like this Blues season was like a roller coaster where the boys, remember in the beginning of the season, like they started off really hot and they were like the comeback kids. Then they plateaued after Thomas got hurt. Then when he came back and the break and post-break, it's been a whirlwind, but I'm having fun right now. So please enlighten me with some of your thoughts about the season.
Yeah, it's definitely been a season. I love the way the team looks pretty much ever since Montgomery has taken over. Slowly but surely, they've gotten to where they are now, which is, if you look at all the analytics or stuff, I'm not sure if you're into that, but they are right up in that top right corner, which is where they want to be, up there with the top teams in the league that have been really good all year. You got to love what you see from Bolduc. I mean, didn't have a goal before Montgomery took over. Now he's pushing towards 20 goals. Obviously, Holloway looks like a future superstar. I can't believe this is where we're at now as to what we saw earlier in the season, but it's really great to see, and it was 3 years too long without playoffs. So let's hope they can come out and get a good effort tonight and get a win.
And that's the one thing I was actually thinking about it is the last time the team missed 3 seasons consecutively was in 2005 to 2008. And that was such a long time ago. Like this team has always done a really good job. I know they get out a lot in the first round, but they've done a good job at least going to the playoffs. And I really thought during the midway point of the season, and I know people call the break the midway point. It's not the midway point. I did not think they were going to be going to the playoffs. I felt like the team just didn't have any energy and they weren't able to connect. And I was upset and disappointed with Zach Bolduc. And I think the best thing that he did, and I'm glad that you brought this up, was play with the T-Birds for a little bit during the break because I felt like that kind of gave him this confidence that he didn't really have. But I mean, we talked prior to the season and we talked about the offer sheets, which were insane. They worked out quite well for us with especially Dylan Holloway. But
Yes.
the one player that I feel like hasn't been talked about enough, but has been such a huge part to this Blues success, you're going to laugh at me, Ryan Suter. I feel like Suter has been such a staple on defense, and I know that maybe he's not the best player. I mean, he is 40 now, but again, I really felt like when he was playing in the first pair with Parayko for quite a while, he did a great job. So give me your thoughts. Was there a player for you maybe that is not getting enough recognition, but you feel like has been just, I don't want to say playing like standing, but has been, impressing you?
Well, I'll tell you who's impressed me since Four Nations, and Robert Thomas. I mean, he's on a literal heater. There was an article that came out, I don't know, Friday morning about how him and Montgomery sat down and looked at tape of Patrice Bergeron and Jack Eichel, and that just made my eyes like just turn into saucers when I heard that, because we all know Thomas can do everything he wants in the offensive zone, but if he becomes a defensive player remotely close to Patrice Bergeron, that's just going to give him more chances to score points and put the Blues in good positions to win. And he's winning faceoffs. He's been on an absolute tear since the Four Nations, and I think has a little bit to do with him being left off that roster, if I'm being completely honest with you.
It's funny. People, whenever I say that Robert Thomas is an elite player, and I don't say that lightly, I truly believe that he is an elite player. They say, why wasn't he on the Four Nations face-off team for Canada? And I think the injury that he had played a huge factor because in the summertime, and I knew I wasn't crazy because I remember seeing his name kind of circulating in the summer about a potential player for Team Canada. Do you feel like the NHL kind of fumbled the bag with that one because they were adding guys to, Team Sweden and, all and throughout I guess you can say the month leading up to the Four Nations face off. So I just don't understand how they could leave him off when, again, injuries happen, but he recovered, and I just can't even fathom it.
I'll tell you right now, I don't think it'll ever happen again. I don't think there's ever going to be an international event that Canada plays in that doesn't feature Robert Thomas. The thought of him playing with all those skilled players, just distributing the puck all over the ice, is just. I mean, we see it way more than the rest of the league with what he can
Mhm.
do with the puck in his hands, and now he's developing a shot. Future 120-point scorer, in my opinion, especially with the firepower
Yeah.
that they have up front. And I think that could come as soon as next season. So yeah, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. I'm glad it happened because he's clearly pissed off about it, and can't wait to see him in the playoffs this year.
And I think that's a
Fingers
good
crossed.
point too, because a lot of people, I feel like we watch Blues hockey, obviously, but I feel like the NHL pushes out certain teams, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, like they get completely, the media attention, the Bruins, like there's certain teams that get this insane amount of media attention. And people are surprised that the Blues are playing good now, but they've had this talent all along. Like, Kyrie's had 3+ seasons now of scoring 30+ goals, and people, and I'm saying people, not Blues fans, but just people that maybe don't know Blues hockey, they're like, "Wow, this guy's really good," and I'm like, "Come on, this team has always had good talent."
Yeah,
Like,
I agree, Haley. And what I want to say, whenever you said Jordan Kyrie's name, it kind of lit a little light bulb in my brain. But the speed that Holloway brings with whenever they're playing together is like so much fun to watch. It's something we really haven't had as a team for a while. They need to keep ingesting more of it into the team because they are lethal, like lethal. Those two together with their speed.
yeah, and that's the thing about Dylan Holloway is that with Edmonton, I was talking to my buddy Nick that covers the Oilers. And I said they never were gonna utilize Holloway the way that we could here in St. Louis because he was not gonna ever be a top 6 forward, just due to all the talent that they have in Edmonton. But I guess for me, and looking at this, maybe if I was an Edmonton fan, I would be pretty annoyed with the organization for giving away 2 of our guys in, Holloway and Broberg that were supposed to be like their younger, next generation type of core for the team. Like, I still can't believe that Doug Armstrong was able to, pull that off.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do this summer with those two guys. I know the salary cap's going up, so it's not
Yeah.
entirely they don't need to sign them right now, but I mean, if I'm Armstrong, and there's a reason that I'm not, but if I were him, I'd be looking to sign Holloway, at an eight by eight. Same with Broberg. Like they've displayed enough for me where I think those guys, if you can get them 8 by 8, it's going to be a discount in 2 seasons. And I just Holloway has just been unbelievable, especially since I don't know. We'll say Four Nations, but it's really been the whole year. Like it's all three zones. He's hitting. He's fast. He's got a good shot. He's been an incredible addition.
And I think that's the thing too, is that when you look at the additions of the team, you obviously then have to talk about Cam Fowler, who
Oh,
honestly, I have to tell you, has played some of the best hockey I've seen Fowler play. Like, I watch a lot of, like, random hockey teams, and for whatever reason, the Anaheim Ducks, because they're on so late all the time, that's, like, my late night
mm,
hockey that I watch,
yes,
and
yes,
I was very surprised with how well, Cam adapted here to St. Louis. You
yeah.
lit
That's
up
an
when I said his
interesting.
name.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were apparently in on him this summer, trying to get him this summer, and yeah, he's a little bit older, but he's clearly playing with a resurgence. He clearly wants to get into a playoffs. I mean, think about that Nashville game the other day when they were losing and didn't really have a pulse going into the third period. He comes out, ties the game with an insane snipe. Like he's playing a lot of minutes. I just can't believe Doug Armstrong. Like, to find a player like that that's clearly playing on a stale team, get him for really nothing, and then he comes in, makes immediate impact, playing big minutes. It's just I would never want another GM other than Doug Armstrong. So
He's the best. I'm gonna be honest. I'm excited for Steiner, but I am a little upset, and by a little, very upset that Doug won't be GM of the Blues in a couple seasons. That I just I want to trust what he's doing, with Alex and getting him prepared, but at the same time, um, Doug's been the longest GM in Blues history. Like with this, like, it just makes me very uneasy, I guess, about what's going to happen. But
I
I guess
agree. I don't know if you followed the Blues like you do now back when Alex Dean played, but
yep,
I'm gonna tell you that that guy is like I know like a lot of people refer to Mr. Blue as like Bobby Plager, which that's warranted, but Alex Dean is really far up there for me on the Mount Rushmore of Blues. Like that dude laid his heart and soul on the line for the team night in night out. Played multiple playoff series with a broken foot.
yep.
He's obviously an intelligent person. You can just kind of tell by the way he carries himself and talks. And yeah, I mean, he's already got his hands all over the development with all the Swedes that we got coming in. It seems like with Lindstein and Stenberg. So yeah, I don't know. I agree. It does suck that Armstrong isn't going to be the safety net anymore, but I think he's going to rub off quite a bit on Alex Steen. So
So Dylan and I were going to continue talking about the Blues. We're going to dive more into specifically this game tonight. But first, I'm going to tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if you win your bet. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. Don't miss out. Head to fanduel.com to claim $250 in bonus bets today. Do you have a favorite basketball team, by the way?
honestly, I kind of gravitate towards the Lakers. To be honest with you, I
Valid.
love this. Yeah, right now, especially with Luca, it's just unbelievable.
I know that was a crazy move. Speaking of bad GMs,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
could you
that's tough.
imagine if, like, in all seriousness, like, could you imagine if, like, Doug made a move where he, like, just traded away randomly, like, Robert Thomas for, like, nothing in return?
Yeah, it was a Twitter trade. I saw
Yeah.
that come across my timeline and thought that it had to be some kind of joke or like I thought that
Right?
Woj was hacked or something. But yeah, that was crazy.
Crazy. Well, speaking of crazy, a couple games left of the regular season. We have tonight, and then we're going to be hosting Utah on Tuesday. It's insane how fast the hockey season goes by. Philip Roberg will not be playing tonight due to some personal reasons. And I just want to say this whenever I feel like a player is unable to play due to personal reasons, people speculate so much. And it could just be something with his family. Like, there's so many reasons why, but I'm seeing on Twitter people are freaking out thinking that, like, he's now injured, and the team would have to report it if it was an injury. So
No, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed that he's having his first baby tonight. Is what I'm pretty sure is what the deal is.
then that would make sense. You know what's
Yeah.
funny? Like, a lot of players, and with the other hockey team that I cover, like, they have their wives who are pregnant, and then they announced that they had a baby, and I'm like, I had no idea. I feel like I'm so out of the loop with, like, people, like, the players. Like, I just try my best to avoid them, like, outside of the ice. But
Don't blame you.
oh,
Yeah.
oh,
No.
this is
Um,
a good comment, actually. So this is from Burnt Oils. The possibility of the Flames overtaking the Blues is very real. The Flames have 3 games left. The Blues only have 2. So I did the math yesterday, and I believe that the scenario for the Flames to overtake the Blues will be if the Blues lose out, so they don't get any more points, they're stuck with 93. And then if the Flames, I believe, if they win out, or I think they can have. Yeah, no, I think they would have to win out or they could have, like, 1, OTL. So, yeah, it's bad.
yeah, I was looking at FanDuel Sportsbook earlier, and they had the Blues at -142 in tonight's game, and I thought that was crazy considering the stakes that the Blues need to win the game. I mean, I'm pretty confident on tonight's game that the Blues are going to come out and win. I'm not saying they're going to come out and dominate from the beginning, but I think they definitely find a way to win this game tonight, and that could be a little demoralizing for Calgary. You know, if you kind of close the door before it opens.
Yep.
But if they do somehow lose this game tonight, I agree, burned oils, that the Blues are in a very, very tough situation going into the final 2 games. Just kind of feeling Calgary's fire if they can't get points tonight, specifically 2
Well,
points.
And I was really hoping the Wild were gonna win last night because Minnesota, like, not for nothing, but I understand they're in wild card 1 and whatever, but at the end of the day, I would rather have had Minnesota win than the Flames.
Oh
I'm
yeah, right
nervous.
now for
Like,
sure.
and I feel like there's not enough maybe, like, talk about it because the national media and I complain about the national media all the time because, okay, first off, that TNT broadcast the other night sucked. That was one of the worst broadcasts I've ever listened to. Yeah. Well, this is the problem. I love our local guys. I was listening to the ESPN on the radio feed while I had the game, like, playing. So I'm, like, holding my phone because I just have the app. I'm holding my phone, I'm watching the game so much better. The girl that did, the color commentating was infuriating. So many gaps, didn't know anything about the Blues. Um, so yeah, national media sucks. But they're saying that there's no competition right now with the playoffs. Like, there's no real races, and there's a very real situation here in the West. Like, do you think the Blues could potentially use to both Seattle and Utah?
I think I think Seattle's kind of in a bad spot right now with their team. So I really do think it's a much easier game for the Blues. Um, I do agree with you. The national media definitely overlooks the Blues, specifically when they're in a wild card spot. I mean, Calgary's not the biggest market either.
But they're
It's
from
not talked about
Canada.
enough. Yeah, I mean, it's not talked about enough for really what it is. I mean, they're on a pretty good heater right now too. They're beating good teams left and right. To be honest with you, I don't really know that much about Calgary's team. It's kind of surprising that they're still winning. I kind of wrote them off like 3 weeks ago, but
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
the thing with the Flames is, I've looked at the Flames a little bit more this season than I have in past seasons, and, I'm very surprised. Like, very surprised. Like, obviously, rookie goalie Dustin Wolf has been phenomenal. Um,
yeah, he's good.
but other than that, I just maybe it's just because and maybe okay, try to put words out that be respectful to teams players, but I feel like they don't have that many big names. So I feel like when you look at the Flames as a whole, it's kind of like, okay, well, I can look at the Blues and I can easily point out Robert Thomas and Jordan Binnington and Pareko as the big names. With the Flames, it just kind of seems like they all blend in a little bit. Now, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying from like a national perspective, it's really hard for me to look at this Calgary team and think, yes, that this team, it makes sense because it doesn't make sense. I have to tell you, if the Blues miss out on the playoffs, I know this probably won't happen, but it's still a possibility. I think I'm gonna have a meltdown because how do you win 12 straight games in a row, set a franchise record, and then lose? Like, but the losses that the Blues had though too, in all fairness, with Winnipeg and then Edmonton, McDavid was back after missing 8 games, so there was a little bit of, I guess motivation for him. But there were 2 teams that are both playoff teams, so it's not like the Blues lost to the Sharks. Well, I mean,
No, and we won't talk about that because we have history with Sharks fans. But
we do. They
uh
hate me. I
I
have to
know.
tell you really fast, I know we talked about this. I had to block, I think, over 200 Sharks accounts on Twitter because they really got mad.
I remember that was fun. I
That
had
was
your
a
back
they had a
there.
meltdown.
No,
You did.
no, but I agree. I mean, it would be very justifiable to me, Haley. The peak of the season was always going to be the 12-game win streak, and that was kind of
Yep.
the only downside of that was okay. This happened. This is cool, but it's going to be hard for me to see them going and winning 4 playoff series this season specifically. And then with Holloway getting hurt, that clearly took some wind out of their sails. They're already playing
Mhm.
without Pareko. That was a big one. And I still haven't heard much about Holloway. Like he got hit right in his hip. It did not look good. Um, but I'm gonna be happy either way. Like God forbid this happens and it goes south here and they miss the playoffs. You have to be really happy with what you saw developmentally from Zach Bolduc, from Holloway. Broberg had a great season. Nathan Walker is, I mean, he's never going to be like a a go-to goal scorer, but he's really solidified his role on the fourth line. Thomas, even Kyrou, another 30-goal season, as you said earlier. Bennington, like playing pretty good. Hofer playing good. There's been a lot of good. Montgomery has really done a good job. I think he should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year, to be honest with you.
Oh my God, I said that all along like Jack Adams, Coach Montgomery. Before we talk more about the game tonight, I just want to tell you about my friends over Game Time before we dive into our final segment. There's nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last minute MLB showdown or soaking in the excitement of a NBA matchup. But finding great seats at great prices, well, that used to be a challenge until I found Game Time. Game Time makes scoring last minute gets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer. And with their all in pricing, you see the total cost upfront, no surprises at checkout. I personally love the last minute deals. I can save up to 60%. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, low price guaranteed. All right. Big game tonight. It's really a fun game for the Blues tonight. Blues and Kraken. Dylan and I, we have you doing a pregame show here. Okay. Keys to success for tonight. I feel like, and this is some notice with the Blues, maybe not so much during the 12-game win streak, but just throughout the season, is they need to be aggressive during the first period immediately and just attack. Also, this is, again, something that's happened 16 times already this season, Dylan, that is making me explode. When it is
Agreed.
the
I know what you're
final
going to say.
minute, yep,
Yeah.
when it's the final minute of play, do not allow the other team to score. 16 times this has happened.
Yeah. It's a problem. I don't know if you can really pin it on one guy. I don't know. I don't know if the penalty kill just isn't where it needs to be. I'm pretty sure I saw a stat the other day that the penalty kill is kind of low in the league, but they got to find a way to close the games out, score the empty net. Every time they miss an empty net by like a foot, it just pains me because it's like, okay, that's going to turn into like 4 chances and a post or something. So, it's just it's painful. But I agree. First 5 minutes of this game is going to be huge. They have a chance to come out, score early, and win this game. Maybe early in the game, and I would just love to see them play physical. Like get back to the physical style that they play. Don't take Seattle lightly. Play like you're playing Colorado whenever you were on the win streak, or even just look at it like a playoff game, which essentially it is. And I'm sure that's exactly what Montgomery's telling them right now.
So one thing about tonight's game, obviously with Broberg being out, Matthew Kessel is in the lineup tonight. I get nervous. And it's not, I think Kessel's fine, right? Like he's not great. He's not bad. He's fine. He's a placeholder. I just get a little bit nervous that we both have, that we'll have both Kessel and Tyler Tucker in the lineup. I know they won't be on the same pairing, but I feel like then the one pairing is actually going to be solid will be Cam Fowler and Nick Leddy. And even then, with Nick Leddy, sometimes he's a little bit inconsistent. And then you have Kessel with Justin Folk. And I am not a hater in any single way, but
I
he has been so bad this season.
I love the guy as a person. I do. I
Yep.
love his attitude. But for the money he makes and some of the decisions he makes and the lack of goal scoring, I'm pretty ready for that experience. Especially because he was like really good with Carolina like for a long time, and he got here and it just I don't know. I feel like it's never really materialized 100%. But I agree, the defense is not good tonight. Like there's a lot of games played on the defense with Sutter, Leddy, Fowler, but yeah, they need to probably score at least 4 goals in this game. I think if they really want to, if they're going to win in regulation, I think it's going to take at least 4 goals. I mean, watch it be a 1-0 game, but I really do believe
I
that.
hope not.
I hope
Well,
not
you
too.
know what's well, the Capitals, they lost today to Columbus, but I believe it was like within like the first frame or first like 30 minutes even. It was like 6-0 Columbus. And I was like, oh my goodness, like high scoring today. But I want to get your thoughts on Dvorsky. So I know Mojo has been in and out of the lineup. I personally prefer Dvorsky just because I'm a little bit biased and I see a lot of potential for him. But Snuggie, how about Snuggie staying consistent in
Oh,
the lineup? Like, I think he looks great.
that was like a Christmas for me in April, or I guess it was late March whenever he got in, because that dude, he doesn't look like he dropped a step, and maybe that's a testament to the NCAA, but he has came right into this lineup on the front line. He skates better than I thought he did. He's
Yep, he's fast.
he's smart with the puck. He takes good shots. I just can't wait to see him score his first. I don't think he scored yet. I think he still needs
Nope.
his first goal. So I want to see him get him out there on the power play. Like get him out there in the slot and in Ovi's office. Shout out 895 and
Yes.
let Snugger just take a couple Ovi clappers from over there. One of them is bound to go in, but. Yeah, that guy. He's going to be a player. I mean, him and Thomas playing together for the next 10 years. We've got a lot to look forward to with that. I think.
That's what I was thinking too, and I'm so and I said that we talked prior to the season. I said I think those guys they're going to bring in when done with college, and then eventually um, we didn't know at the time. I don't think if Dvorsky was going to make the team or be with the T-Birds, but I'm happy that he had the development. Now Matthew Joseph, and again, I'm not a hater at all. I just don't know if it's that much better to have him in over Dvorsky. But again, I want the team to win, find ways to win. I just personally, I don't know. He didn't,
Is
and
Dvorsky
then
playing in this
no,
game?
nope. They have Matthew Joseph
Wow,
in now.
that's interesting. Um, why
I don't
call
like
him
it.
up then? Why not let him continue to play games in Springfield for the time being?
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree. And I actually, to be honest with you, really like, as you say, Mojo. That's a sick nickname for him. But
it is.
um, I I like him. I think he's got good speed. Obviously he's been caught, and I know he had a really bad turnover in Winnipeg. But
Yes.
I really think Montgomery means when he says we're gonna go with the guys that we got here with, and
Mm.
whether that means Sundquist playing power play minutes or Matthew Joseph drawing in over Dvorsky. I don't know. I guess they saw something with Dvorsky in the games that he did play that they didn't like, but I honestly I thought he was creating chances and checking pretty good for the most part. He's got good NHL speed. I don't know. I'm excited about that player too. Like I think him and he's going to be a guy. I mean, he's definitely going to make the team. I think coming out of camp next year. So we'll see what happens. I think they can get it done with Joseph tonight, but they may need a little more firepower if they have to roll into Winnipeg or Vegas and play a 7-game series.
I can't even think about that yet. And I know that it's going to be happening soon. But I want to ask you again if I know that the Blues could potentially solo back to wild card one. Like,
Yeah,
potentially. Um, who would you rather face? Winnipeg or Vegas?
I
I
don't
go
know if
back
there's
and
a good
forth.
answer. I don't know if there's a good answer. I'll say Winnipeg just
Yep.
because a lot of people say Hellebuck is terrible in the playoffs. They've even and you know what? They've kind of had our number. So little bulletin board material here, like, hey, this team can't beat Winnipeg. Like, I would love to read all the national media say that about our team going into a series with Winnipeg. And I think Vegas is they're structured a little different, and they're better than Winnipeg. I think like
Oh yeah.
they're Winnipeg's analytics since November are like the Blues are better in almost every category offensively than Winnipeg. And to be honest, it's kind of wild how they're winning games. I think they have like really elite special teams. They score a lot on the power play. Not saying the Blues would win a series against Winnipeg, but I think that's who I would choose if I could. Although both of those teams are absolute wagons, so I think it could be a tough draw either way.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that too because the thing is with Vegas, they scare me so much with all the talent that they have. Jack Eichel and Mark Stone, especially Mark Stone in the playoffs, like scares me. Aiden Hill. I could
Yeah.
go on and on about the Golden Knights. Winnipeg, they're beatable. And I know
Oh
that the
yeah.
Blues didn't like was it the best game they had the other night? No. But the Blues, I believe what was it, like December they beat Winnipeg? Like they have beat Winnipeg this season. Um I just think it's one of those things where at the end of the day, we know Winnipeg a lot better than the Golden
Mm,
Knights. So
agree.
for that reason, I think that there is a more strong suit possibility of the Blues beating them. But Dill, tonight the goal is to beat the Seattle Kraken. So can I have a
Yes.
score prediction as we wind down today's episode?
I'm gonna go with what I said earlier, and I'm gonna say at least 4 goals. So I'll say 5-3 with a late 6-on-5 for Seattle. Just to
Yeah.
keep the trends alive. But I'm gonna say what I say 6-3, 5-3 would be the score that I would choose. And I think with the defense the Blues have tonight, it's going to be hard to throw a zero up there. But the Blues should be more than capable of scoring plenty of goals in this game. So let's hope we can have a fun one tonight. A lot more fun than that Winnipeg game. That was not fun at all.
Not fun. I think tonight's gonna be a 4-2 St. Louis win. I think there's gonna be a goal scored within the first 3 minutes of today's contest. Um, I, I have to tell you, I feel really good about this. I'm not a huge fan of the late night puck drops, 9 p.m. puck drop, so that's brutal. Um, but luckily it's a weekend. So thank you again, Dylan. Dylan, plug your social media and where people can find you because you have such great insight on the Blues.
On X, 97 D-Way, a lot of Blues talk on there. That's year round. We're talking prospects, talking about the games, talking about how bad the NHL refs can be at times. So
Always.
yeah, you check me out on there, and I love to communicate with anyone. So I appreciate the opportunity, Haley. Thank you.
Always, thank you, and I'm sure that when, the boys go to the playoffs, I'll have you on because we'll have a lot of fun. You have such great stats. Alright, I will be back on Monday reacting to everything that happened this week on the Blues, but I will be posting a short doing my usual post-game, thoughts. So, with that being said, thank you again, Dylan, and like always, let's go Blues.